welcome you into another edition of Freshly Grated with Marcello Romano and James Marilat, my guest, and of course Daniel Chavez, Chavi, producing the product. James, they did it. They slayed the witch. They beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and it's the Denver Broncos that we're talking about. But now the question becomes, as fans and people, members of the Broncos country,
is this real life?
Yeah, this is real life.
did this just happen? Now I'm just saying beating the Chiefs, but now where does it go from here? Because you have two different teams on two different ends of the spectrum. The Broncos put a lot of emphasis on beating the Chiefs and, slaying that dragon.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs are maybe facing some of the first real adversity that they've had as far as are we even going to make the postseason? So is it real life? Where does it go from here? What is the reality now? And one more question I want you to think of when you're answering it is, did they put too much of an emphasis or focus on just this one game?
The Broncos?
Yes.
No. Well, first of all, yes, it's real. This is definitely real. And I'm fine with putting hurdles in front of a team, right, before you totally buy in. Or, hey, they got to check all these different boxes before you buy in. At this point, I don't know what other boxes we need from the Broncos we need them to check. I really don't. It's not as though we can even come up with some scenario where it's Kansas City was overlooking them. It was a trap game for the Chiefs. There was none of that. It was the opposite. They knew they had to win that game or the AFC West was toast for the Chiefs. They put all their emphasis on it. They're coming off the bye. Andy Reid is 22-4, coming off a bye, all that nonsense. And the Broncos went out and beat them. I just don't know what test they need to pass here before we buy in. They're 9-2. They've won 8 straight games. They beat the defending Super Bowl champs on the road. They beat the defending AFC champs at home. They're the number 1 seed currently in the conference. It is time to look out the front window and worry about, hey, how do you get the 1 seed and not worry about the rearview mirror? Because I think an interesting question for Broncos country this week is
Jelly Roll, man. You just quoted him.
Do you root for, unintentionally,
Yes.
do you root for the Chiefs or the Colts this week? And there's an argument to be made for both, right? You root for the Chiefs because that helps you pass the Colts in terms of the number 1 seed, or you root for the Colts because, man, let's make sure the Chiefs are dead. I'm looking out the front window, not the rearview mirror. I am rooting for the Chiefs to beat the Colts because if the Broncos can get the 1 seed, I think we're all going to Santa Clara. I do. I think they can win 2 home games and get to Super Bowl 60. If they got to play at home on Wild Card Weekend and the 3 Wild Card teams, just hypothetically, are Kansas City, Buffalo, and Baltimore, I don't like any of those.
No, I agree with you.
Sit at home and let the other teams have to deal with those teams. So getting the 1 seed, I think, is imperative. So root for anything that gets you to that point.
Okay, that being said, and I guess I think the question would become, well, then why is there so much hesitancy? Is it because we've seen almost a decade of bad...
Who's hesitant?
Well, it's weird that you're not.
I'm on board. I'm fully on board.
I know, and now I believe you. Last week, I think he was faking it. Javi.
No.
I was like...
No. Listen, and people call me negative.
I think you were trying to convince yourself of it. Can't you learn to love me? Type of
People
deal?
think I'm negative. I'm not. I'm a realist. You and I worked together back during the Peyton Manning years.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't look at that and be all in and be positive? And I was, because you knew it was real. You're not. I wasn't buying Trevor Siemian. Sorry, that doesn't make me a hater. I knew that was garbage.
Well, let me just pause you there, though. But it was a mere 4 weeks ago that you compared our quarterback to one Kyle Orton. So, that's what I think the hesitancy is coming from. Is we remember the Giants game and what it took to win that game. We remember that you were awful through 3 quarters versus the Eagles and the Jets.
Yep.
And the Houston game. I mean, these games, after the Dallas game, after the Bengal game, after a game like they just had against the Kansas City Chiefs and the juggernaut that they've been, not only in your division, they've dominated the AFC for the past decade pretty much.
Yeah.
And there's 2 seasons that they haven't made it to a Super Bowl under Pat Mahomes, which is nuts to even say. So, yes, I'm on board, but there's that little devil on my shoulders going, "Hey, don't ask her to marry you yet."
Well, okay, and just a couple of minutes ago, I said, hey, I wouldn't love having to host Buffalo, Kansas City, or Baltimore. So there's a little bit of hesitancy from that standpoint of I got to see this team do it in the playoffs. But are they a legit contender for the 1 seed? Are they a team that is going to be a tough out when they're playing at home where they're almost impossible to beat. Yeah, I just, and the Bo Nix stuff, as you gather more evidence and get more data, you're allowed to change your opinion on it. And when we talked about the Kyle Orton thing, it was like, I brought up the example of the Broncos being down like 4 against the Raiders, and Orton's got a chance to lead him down, and the ball goes flying out the back of his hand. It's like, he's the definition of not clutch.
Yeah.
Bo Nix is the opposite. So I've said this, on the radio, I've said it with you. Bo Nix is John Elway circa 1983 to 92, where for a lot of the game, he didn't play worth a crap. But if you give him a chance late, they're down 19-6 against the Chiefs in 92 with 2 minutes to play in the game. Well, 6 points through 58 minutes ain't very good. But then there they go, and they get 2 touchdowns at the end, and he gets the win. That's what people are going to remember. They don't remember the 58 bad minutes. They remember the 2 great minutes.
Sure.
That's how Bo is. Like when you were watching the game on Sunday, and the ball is in their hands, and it's 19-19 with, 2.5 minutes left. Did you have any doubt they were going to go get a field goal?
Who, the Chiefs
The
or
Broncos.
the Broncos? Actually, I had no doubt.
I didn't either.
I was concerned in the first half that they had to settle for some field goals. And I was like, that could come back to burn
You don't
them.
beat the Chiefs kicking field goals.
But in the
I
second
get it.
half, I was actually kind of calm. I'm like, I think
too.
they're going to win this football game. Like, I wasn't like the Raider game a couple weeks back where you're like, you might find a way to lose it. You keep messing around like this. For whatever reason, I had some confidence about them beating the Chiefs on Sunday. And a lot of that goes to Bo Nix, and you bring that up because I think it's interesting. If we go back to the beginning of the 2024 season, and this is the question of whether or not he's a franchise quarterback. Obviously, you don't have to pay the guy yet like he is, but for the belief of Broncos country and a lot of people around the nation that there's been a lot of that bad that you talked about were the similarities of John Elway, but there's been so much good too. So let me give you some crazy numbers, and then let me ask you then if you think he is a franchise quarterback. Since the start of the 2024 season, and this is him versus Pat Mahomes. So arguably what everyone thinks is probably the best quarterback. If not one, he's 1A or 1B, correct?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Passing yards, Patrick Mahomes, 6,553. This includes this past Sunday. Bo Nix, 6,196. So a little bit, that was one of those games where he didn't play well. You probably make up that ground.
Yep.
Passing touchdowns, Pat Mahomes, 44. Bo Nix, 47. He didn't have any last week. He didn't rush either. So interceptions over the past season and a half, Pat Mahomes, 17. Bo Nix, 20. Rush yards, Pat Mahomes, 595. Bo Nix, 643. And then rushing touchdowns, Pat Mahomes, 6. Bo Nix, 7. 6-7, James. 6-7.
There we go.
So those numbers, other than a couple hundred yards difference in the passing game of yardage, total yardage thrown, they're pretty damn similar. And if we put the hierarchy of quarterbacks on a list, Pat Mahomes is up there.
He's up there all time, but in the last 2 years, he's not. I mean,
So you think that's a big regression out of Pat Mahomes?
Yeah.
And
I
not
think
so much a great first year and a half of a guy's career.
it's been a really good first year and a half. Would I call it great? I don't. I think great and amazing, and I think people overuse those words. I think it's been very good, and there's nothing wrong with that. Great is set aside for Dan Marino in his second year throwing for 48 touchdown passes and setting the all-time NFL record. Like, that's great. Like, very good's okay. We can be fine with very good. I just think Mahomes has regressed. I don't think does he look like Pat Mahomes to you? He doesn't to me. He doesn't look like the guy who just can, pull off the miracle down the stretch. It's the opposite. I felt totally fine with Bo Nix late in the game. I knew he was going to go get it done. And I wasn't fearful that Mahomes was going to do it when they had the ball right before Jaquan sacked him to force the punt. I just wasn't all that worried about it, where in years past you were just like, well, here we go. The last 2 seasons, he has just been kind of meh. So the fact that Bo Nix's stats are with meh, that's not going to make me say, oh, he's a franchise quarterback. It also, Mahomes was at such a high level and so great that now that he's playing
That's
like
what
every
I
other
think
quarterback on earth, that he seems
and when you're
meh.
throwing 50 touchdown passes in your second year starting,
that's a great start.
so that's like pretty amazing. But yeah, I mean the NFL in general, and we had this discussion last week, it's been a little bit clunky all around.
Yeah.
I think you're starting to see more of it. And I think it was a big surprise because the Chiefs had played pretty well up until that Buffalo game. And you would assume, like you said, They got their best punch. This wasn't the Chiefs' week 2
No.
where they were still dealing with injuries. They had everything they needed to go out and win that game and know that they had to, which I think it was kind of interesting. Yesterday, James Palmer was on with the Drive in the afternoon on the Fan, and he was like, dude, they were dejected. Like, Pat Mahomes was sitting in a corner with a towel over his head.
Yeah.
Now, that could be viewed a couple different ways. Michael Jordan also said some no-name guy said, nice game, Mike, just to motivate himself, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think inside after a day or two, they'll probably realize they just got more work to do. But they don't have many losses to give up now. And you start with it. Like, you go on, if Indy's for real, they're going to give them a problem this weekend. Kansas City's going to have their hands full with that. And their remaining schedule is not easy. So not only did the Broncos basically push them out of the divisional race, but there's real questions whether or not that team gets in.
Yeah, well, and the big problem for them is that they lost to the Jags. That's a team that you're going to be competing with for the 6 seed, the 7 seed. Let's just say 7, because that's the difference between being in or not being in. And the Jags have the head-to-head. So that's a problem for them. They've got not only 5 losses, but they got losses to some of the teams they're trying to catch. That Buffalo being in that list, because Buffalo right now would be a wild card. So it's going to be interesting if they get in. Would it shock me if the Chiefs wound up 12-5? It would not.
Same here.
It would not shock me one bit. That's why I think this was such a good win. I know they're 5-5. I know that's a very mediocre record. It's still the Chiefs. It's still Andy Reid. Like, okay, all these people that are hesitant, all these people that want to knock it, they're the same yahoos that were telling me he's 22-4 coming off the bye. Like, what he did with Donovan McNabb matters one bit, right?
Yeah.
So it's just some people want to continually put a new hurdle, on the track. And you think you've jumped all of them, and then here's another one. I'm fine with putting a few, and I think that's being a smart fan. I think that's being a fan that just doesn't look at life through orange-colored glasses. But when it's good, you got to embrace it. You got to enjoy that it's good, and this is good. We're living in the good times right now. The good old days. This is stuff we're going to be talking about in 10 years of, remember that 8-game winning streak they had and they beat the Chiefs and that was changing of the guard Sunday in the AFC West?
Yeah.
Like, it's happening now. It's happening now. Stop shooting holes in it. Not you. Broncos country.
Well, that kind of segues us into our next segment here, because I want to know now that the Denver Broncos, you and I both believe they're real.
Yes.
Like, I can see it. If it passes like a confetti test, can I actually see it happening? Yes, and to win a Super Bowl, you have to have a lot of things go your way. You're going to have to stay healthy the rest of the way. We already found out the big news with J.K. Dobbins last week, and how's that going to affect them going forward? But now the question remains, because now the NFL's kind of been thrown on its head a little bit this year. So I'm going to ask you, we're going to debut a new little segment here called For Real versus Fugazi.
It's all a Fugazi. You know what a Fugazi is?
Fugazi. It's fake.
Yeah, Fugazi. It's a wazi, it's a woozy, it's a...
Fugazi.
Fugazi. Whatever.
Okay.
So like, and I think it's interesting because I'm going to put a couple of these teams up here, and now tell me if you disagree, because I think they're for real.
Okay.
And oddly enough, Kansas City's going to fall on that list just because of, their experience, their history. But I'll say for real for me, like, no doubters that can definitely win an NFL title this year.
This year can win a championship.
Yes.
Okay.
Buffalo.
Yes, they're for real.
Baltimore, crazy enough.
They're
also
for real.
sitting. I put Kansas City on that list.
They're for real.
Philadelphia.
Yep.
The LA Rams.
Yep.
And then I have a problem here. I have Detroit and Green Bay, both kind of 50-50. If I had to list it right now, I guess I'd probably lean towards Detroit, because I think they know their window it's closing and closing quickly.
Yeah.
But I don't know your decision on between those two teams, and you agree with the other ones.
I totally agree with the other ones. I would put Green Bay in the Fugazi category.
Okay.
I'm not sure where to put the Lions. Like, I believe in Dan Campbell. I think Jared Goff is very underrated. But I do kind of feel like their 2 best years are behind them. Like, they missed their window, with the loss at San Francisco when they kept going for it on 4th down and missing it. And then with last year, what were they, 15-2? And they lose at home to Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, a rookie quarterback. So I'll put for real, because they did win 15 games last year, and it's still the same team. And with the talent they have offensively, I mean, they can put up points in a hurry. I'll put them for real, but of the ones you listed, they're last in that group.
I'd agree with you. And I think you're starting to see it now with Detroit that, He made the move away from John Morton. He took it over.
Yeah.
So one game great, one game not so great. They were 0 for 5 on fourth down.
Yeah.
Maybe if you take some points, that game changes a little bit. But I think just because I know they're running out of time, that I'm going to put them on the for real list. Now, here's the ones I have question marks on.
Okay.
And we can kind of rapid fire these ones if you want. Some are on there just because of their record. And some I know where even when I typed it out, I'm like, that's not,
Yeah.
they're Fugazi.
Okay.
So I'll start with Pittsburgh.
Fugazi.
Agreed. Indianapolis.
Fugazi.
See, I think they might be for real. Maybe they get their answer this weekend.
Jonathan
against the
Taylor's legit. He's the best back in football. Daniel Jones, he's still Daniel Jones. The clock is going to strike midnight at some
Chiefs.
point.
Going to Sam Darnold it. Like,
He turns into a pumpkin. I like to mix my metaphors when I'm talking about, fairy tales. I don't buy that one. Fugazi.
Okay. The Denver Broncos.
For real.
Do you think they should be on the for real list or even in the question mark?
For realist.
Because I think around the nation, here's my question to you. We believe it here. We know how good this defense is, but if they're having a discussion in San Francisco, New England, Pittsburgh, and they're doing the same thing there, are people putting the Broncos on that for real list?
If they're not, they should find something else to do for a living. Like, they're a legit team.
Like, say, Indianapolis.
Find me another team who has beaten both the teams that were in the Super Bowl last year. Then I'll listen to your Fugazi nonsense about the Broncos.
Okay. That's fair.
Not
I'm
you
just-
again. I feel like I keep yelling at you.
I'm like,
I'm
whoa,
talking.
man.
I'm talking to this naysayer out there.
Like, that was them fighting words, man. Watch out, microphone. New England.
For real. And prior to I think, didn't they play last Thursday night? Right?
Yeah.
They played the Jets.
The Jets.
And, we don't get a lot of Patriots games because they're not on national TV a ton. So most of what I had seen of Drake May was Broncos aren't playing. I'm watching Red Zone. They pop on every once in a while. Watching Drake May from start to finish in a game, that kid is legit. Mike Vrabel's a very good coach.
Yeah.
I think they can run the football. I think that team, Henderson gives them kind of a breakaway option in the backfield. I think that team's for real. I could 100% see Mike Vrabel hoisting the Lombardi Trophy this year. I could.
I agree. And I was on with Dante last night and was like, well, they don't have a strong schedule. Dude, Drake May is legit.
He is legit.
When I don't care you're playing NFL football, he's throwing balls like I'm throwing it to my 6-year-old nephew.
Correct.
Like, he has so much time. He's just like, I'll just place it where I'd like.
Yeah.
And these guys are wide open. So credit to Josh McDaniels and his ability to coach an offense as well. They scare me a bit. And I think Joel Klatt might have been the one guy that back before that draft was like, his skill set is like Josh Allen, but maybe with a little better arm.
I agree.
And now it's like he's got the proper coaching. So watch out. I'll put him on the for real list too.
And he moves around. Like, he's not Josh Allen in terms of his ability to run. He's not that big, right? So I don't think they want him to run like that. Josh Allen's like having a fullback play quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But he can move around and buy time. He's kind of Aaron Rodgers-esque, like early Aaron Rodgers, not 41-year-old still wearing a weird helmet.
Oh, my
Aaron
wrist.
Rodgers, right? But like Aaron Rodgers in his prime, and the way he could just move around and buy time and extend plays and scramble when he had to. He's that to me, and yeah, he throws the ball. The way you said it is perfectly accurate. He throws it like we're all in the backyard throwing a Nerf ball. Just throws it wherever he wants to. Extremely accurate. It just looks effortless. And to me, that's when you look at somebody who's like, boy, that's when you have the chance to be great, is you can make something that is very, very difficult to do look completely effortless. And that's what Drake May does. He's legit. That team's legit.
So we're agreed. They're both on the for real list. The LA Chargers. I know it's going to be kind of hard after
Fugazi. No,
just because of the way they lost last week.
No, I'm not buying it. They've got that loss down in Jacksonville, losing to Jacksonville in Jacksonville. Okay, that's excusable, but they got boat race
throttled, man.
They've had some games where they just haven't looked very good.
I think Herbert threw for like 80 yards.
I just think
Like,
that team.
what?
I'm just not buying them. I'm not buying that
Listen,
team.
I'm always a believer in Jim Harbaugh because the way he builds a football team, and it's usually like, hey, we have a great running game. They've had so many injuries on their offensive line.
Yeah.
Now they're back. They're down to their third back too. So it's like that's what you need in postseason football to be for real. So I'm not saying they won't get in, but I think it might be another short-lived trip for the Chargers.
I'm with you. I believe in Jim Harbaugh long term. I believe in Justin Herbert long term. I just don't believe in this iteration of the Chargers.
All right, Bears.
I'm gonna say Fugazi but I've got a pretty good track record of coaches that I thought the Broncos should have hired when they hired the wrong guy.
Ben Johnson was one of them.
Yes. When they were talking to who they should hire, and this was back when they hired Sean, and D'Amico was on that list, Harbaugh was on that list.
Yeah.
But one of the names I kept telling people was, hey, this offensive coordinator in Detroit does some pretty creative things. Ben Johnson's good. And it was, no, we can't have another first-time head coach. Not after the Nathaniel Hackett experience. Mike Evans was just, curled up in the corner in a panic about it. Ben Johnson knows what he's doing. You
put that mostly on his, I'm surprised that it took you so. I'm going to say Fugazi for now. They've won things late, but this is why I'm saying it's because in Chicago they're probably having a completely different conversation. This is just the beginning of Caleb Williams. He had They had a comeback win the other day. I mean, it wasn't really offensively driven. The Vikings went ahead and then they kicked the ball down, gave up a 60-yard kick return to put them right in.
They find ways to win. They remind me a lot of the Broncos.
But 7-3, they don't feel like 7-3.
They don't. You look at the standings, Chicago?
Yeah.
7-3. But I think Ben Johnson has done a culture change in Chicago. And once a team starts believing in themselves that we can find a way to get it done, and in their quarterback that he can find a way to get it done, that is pretty powerful. So, would I pick the Bears over the Lions in the playoffs? I would not. Do I think they're going to make the postseason? I do. I think they're better than the Packers. I'll put it that way. I think they're the second best team in that division.
Wow, okay. I would probably still lean on the Fugazi side right now.
Okay.
But things can change over the last month and a half of the season. How about Tampa? With all their injuries, I know Baker's had a resurgence there, but as far as I just think they're running out of weapons for them to be considered for real. That one doesn't pass the eye test to me. Not this season.
Well, but somebody has to win that division. It's going to be them. And then if they get in, can Baker Mayfield on any given Saturday or Sunday in the postseason pull off a win? He can. I have a hard time seeing him hoisting the Lombardi Trophy, but I could see them getting to the Super Bowl. I know that sounds weird. It's one more win.
Yeah.
But could they beat Philly and Philly? Could they beat Detroit and Detroit? Yeah, maybe it's the conference they're in that I think they can navigate their way through the NFC. The NFC to me is a little bit like the NBA Eastern Conference. I think somebody's got to win it.
I would say
the Super Bowl is going to be the AFC title game.
The top of the league is, I think the Rams and the Eagles are as good as anyone. I know the Eagles still haven't really caught their stride, but they have a lot of time to do it.
I ain't
and they're
buying
not
the Eagles. The Rams are the best team in that conference. And then you go to LA and it's going to be half. If it's let's say it's the Packers, the building's going to be half Packers fans.
Yes,
I think that's going to catch up to him in the postseason. Sean McVay, great hair, love his hairdo.
A lot of people compare you to Sean McVay.
Great coach, great coach. It's my Halloween costume every year. I just put on a Rams hoodie. But I think that team's legit. But I think the AFC title game is the Super Bowl.
Okay, so then these last three should be pretty quick for you. The Seahawks,
Fugazi,
the Niners.
They're the best coach team in the league. They're the best coach team in the league.
And I would agree with you there. And we also saw what happened. I thought Brock Purdy would come back and play all right, but he came back and it was hey, welcome to it, fellas.
And if McCaffrey stays healthy,
yes,
he's as dangerous as any weapon in the league. I just think Robert Saleh and Kyle Shanahan are an unbelievable combination. With Shanahan on offense, Saleh on defense. I think they could beat anybody, and it would not shock me if they were in the Super Bowl. It would not shock me if they won it, and we'd all be sitting there saying, how in the world did the Niners win the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
I think they're for real.
So from experience alone and the coaching staff,
yeah,
for real. And I put this is a last one just because of where they're at. They're kind of still getting surprising wins, and they're going to chase Tampa unless Tampa starts to run away. It's the Panthers.
No. Fugazi.
Ran out of time.
I lost my eliminator pool because they couldn't beat the freaking Saints at home. That's the definition of Fugazi.
So now it's gotten personal.
Yes. If any team can't beat the Saints at home, you're Fugazi. You are. Nope, I'm out. A wild card weekend, it's always my Vegas trip. I hope the Panthers are in there. I hope. Because you can just run to the window and put the mortgage on whoever they're playing. I don't care who it is.
All righty. So with that being said, we do it each and every week on Freshly Grated. now that we're another week in, it's 11 weeks have passed through the NFL season. We just went through for real Fugazi. Who's in Santa Clara come February?
It ain't the Panthers. I can tell you that much.
Well, I believe that.
You know what? I'm going to go a rematch of Super Bowl 24, Niners-Broncos. Niners in their home stadium for Super Bowl 60. I believe that much in Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh. I do.
I'm gonna revert back, and while every week I get closer to saying that it's going to be the Denver Broncos representing the AFC in that game, I'm still just waiting.
Okay, I don't know what you're waiting for.
I don't know either. It's like, did we jump a couple steps? Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Do they need to go through trials and tribulations before they get there? Or have they already gone through it? Can they sneak an early championship because like Pat Mahomes has done? Like Joe Burrow got in probably ahead of time. So yeah, I'm leaning more towards it. But as of right now, I'm going to go with the Rams. I think the Ravens are going to make a run.
Wouldn't shock me. Lamar, he's chokes in the playoffs. I mean, here's the best thing going for the Broncos. The other division winners, the Colts, the Patriots, and who? The Steelers?
Yeah.
They're benefiting from the fact that Lamar was hurt and the Ravens, if they get in, are going to be a wild card. They're benefiting from the fact that if the Chiefs get in, they're a wild card. They're benefiting from the fact that if the Bills get in, probably a wild card.
I'm going Broncos Rams, dude.
They have a great path to the Super Bowl.
I'm just going to do it.
Welcome to the
Both
team.
said it on Sunday. If you're scared, go to church.
Welcome,
If
exactly.
you're scared, bet on the Broncos.
Welcome to the bandwagon. Unlike Cecil and Josh, who act like, oh, no, you can't come on if you weren't drinking the Kool-Aid from training camp. The bandwagon that I lead as the only media member in Denver who picked them to beat the Eagles and the Chiefs. Everybody is welcome. Come on board.
There we go. Chavi, you got the last say of it, buddy. Who's in Santa Clara?
That's absolutely insane. You started with the Ravens and then you hopped on the bandwagon. And
come on board, Chavi.
I was gonna say Rams Broncos. I know James was saying it's going to be tough in SoFi, whoever they're playing in the playoffs, because it's so 50-50 on fans. But I'm Rams Broncos, and I got the Broncos winning it.
Look at this. All three of us got the Broncos. What a difference one win makes.
So final question before we wrap it up. Denver, Colorado is Titletown, USA in 2026. With this most recent revelation that the Broncos can seriously win it, we know what the Nuggets are. We know what the Avalanche are, both favorites in both of those leagues. Do we get one? Do we get two? Dare I even say three?
We get two. The Nuggets are better coached than they've been in the past. The Broncos, look, I've had my issues with Sean Payton, but they're well coached. I've been saying for years the Avs are coming up short because they don't have the right guy behind the bench. They haven't changed that, so they're going to be the one team that comes up short again this year. 2 out of 3. That ain't bad.
No, that's not bad at all. I mean, it's crazy. Like a couple years ago, it was blasphemy to talk about something like that, especially because you'd be like, where's the third team coming from?
Right.
Obviously, we saw the Avs win in 22, Nugs in 23, and so they've been, chomping at the bit for a while. But the Broncos, remember where they were in 2022? Even like last year, going into this year, for the reality of it to be a real conversation. Now, if we could just get the Rockies on board.
Let's not talk about them.
That ain't going to happen. You hit your quota. That's going to wrap it up, James.
I do like the Deep Odessa hire, but we got to go.
Yeah, man, Moneyball.
Love it. Jonah Hill, I believe in him.
James is still talking that same good body nonsense, like we're looking for Fabio, like we're selling jeans over here. That's not how baseball's run.
I just want to throw names on a magnet up on here.
Yes. For James Marilat, Dan Chavi Chavez, it's Marcello Romano. You've been watching Freshly Grated on Denver Sports.